Hello students, welcome to Mr. Garofalo's final exam review. Sorry I can't be with you guys today, but I recorded this video to help you through today's review topic, which is graphing linear equations. So we're going to start off with trying to make some graphs off some verbal descriptions. So I'd like the video to be paused right now, and I'd like you all to try to draw a line for each of these three graphs based on the three descriptions that appear above the grids. Go ahead and give it a try. Alright, so for graph 1, the feature is that the line goes through the point 3, 4. So if we plot the point 3, 4, we know the line goes through that point, and it tells us it has a slope of 1. Right? So we know the line's going to go up and to the right since it's a positive slope. A slope of 1 really means for every unit we move horizontally for x, y is going to increase by 1. So if I follow that pattern, I'll get some other points on the line that'll look like this. I could also do it in the other direction, go down 1 to the left 1, and you end up with a graph that looks like this. Alright, the second graph describes a slope and y-intercept. It says the y-intercept is 4 and slope is -2. So if we plot a y-intercept here at 4, now because the slope is negative, the line should be going down and to the right this time. It's always helpful to write your slopes as fractions so you can see your vertical and horizontal change. Remember, the numerator is your vertical change, tells us how much to go up or down. The denominator is your horizontal change, in this case left or right. Since a positive number, we're going to the right. So we're going down 2 units, or decreasing 2 units for y, and increasing x by 1. Decrease y by 2, increase x by 1, and we'll get a graph that looks like this. And the last one, a y-intercept of -2 and a 0 slope. The y-intercept at -2 would be here. A 0 slope, remember, has no increase in y values as x increases. So if we start at -2, we increase x, y would not go up or down. Same thing as we moved across either left or right. That's going to give us points that look like this. So a 0 slope comes out as a horizontal line. Alright, let's move ahead. So the next set of questions are equations that appear in y equals mx plus b form. Alright, we can see y equals 2/3 x minus 1, y equals -1/4 x plus 5. So pause the video again and see if you can take the features that you know from these equations to help you draw the graph of the line. Go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so for the first graph, the first feature we see is that the y-intercept is at -1. So you should have a plot at -1. You can also see the slope is 2/3. This is a positive 2/3. So this tells us that as we change horizontally by 3 to the right, we need to move up 2 units vertically. So 1, 2, 3 to the right and 2 units up. 1, 2, 3 to the right and 2 units up. So we now have 2 more points on our line. If we connect those points, the graph should look like this. And now notice that if we had moved 1 unit to the right, then the graph only increases by less than a full unit. That increase there is actually the 2/3, right? That is the unit rate. It's over 1 up 2/3. But because that is difficult for us to count on the grid, we use the slope as a fraction to help us find that line. All right, the second one has a y-intercept at +5. So if we plot a +5, and now this slope is negative. Okay? So a negative slope, remember, goes down and to the right. So we'll be going down 1 unit and 4 units to the right. Down 1 and 4 units to the right, and then we would end up off the grid. So we could counteract that with a third point. We could go 4 units to the left and 1 unit up. And a graph would look like this. All right, the next section has us trying to find an equation and some features off of several lines. So pause the video again here and read the two questions and try and figure out which line is which description. All right, the line that shows negative 2x plus 2 is line D. How do we know that? Well, the y-intercept is there at 2, and then the line goes down 2 units and to the right 1. So that's line D. The y-intercept of 2, well, actually there's 3 lines that have a y-intercept of 2. But only one of those lines has an x-intercept of 4, and that would be right here. And that's line A. All right. Moving ahead, we're dealing with some equations on the back that are in standard form, right? So we have y equals mx plus b form. These are in standard form. Standard form, ax plus by is equal to c. All right, so one way to graph these types of equations are simply to choose values for x and determine what the corresponding value of y might be. So the first part says determine y when x is 2, determine y when x is negative 2. Pause the video again and attempt to do these two parts. Okay, so if we put in 2 for x, this equation would say 3 times 2 plus 4 times y equals 18. And we're going to use some balance moves to help us solve this. And we would find that eventually y would be equal to 3. So we know y equals 3 when x equals 2. If we put those together as an ordered pair, when x is 2, y is 3, we will get a point that we know belongs on the graph of that line. We're going to repeat that again for negative 2. 3 times negative 2 plus 4 times y equals 18. And then you're going to use balance moves to solve for y and find that y is equal to 6. So we know y is equal to 6 when x is equal to negative 2. Put those two together, negative 2, 6, as an ordered pair, and now we have 2 points. Those 2 points can be connected to form the line. Now the line will show us all the equations. This line shows us, all the solutions to the equation 3x plus 4y equals 18. All right, moving ahead. In the previous example, we chose 2 and negative 2. But perhaps the easiest values to choose to substitute in are zeros. So I want you to take a moment, pause the video, and I want you to try to number 5 in the first 2 questions here. Okay, so the first one says to put 0 in for x, and 4x minus 2y equals 8. So 4 times 0 minus 2y equals 8. 4 times 0 is 0. That just leaves us with negative 2y equals 8. And if we divide by negative 2, we will get negative 4. So what we now know is when x is 0, y is negative 4. So the question that follows this up says, what point is this on the graph? Well, you should know by this point, the point on the graph when x is 0 is called the y-intercept. So we know that this line crosses the y-axis at this point here. The second part has us putting in a 0 for y. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. 4x minus 2 times 0 equals 8. Negative 2 times 0 would be 0, so this just reads as 4x equals 8. And when we divide by 4, we get x equals 2. Okay, so we're going to put those together. When x is 2, y is 0. 2 comma 0. Okay, that's that point right there. Well, what point is this on the graph? Well, notice that point is on the x-axis. We call that the x-intercept. This method is called graphing by the intercepts. If we connect those two intercepts, we'll get a line that represents all the solutions to the equation 4x minus 2y is equal to 8. Okay. So there are two strategies for graphing standard form equations. Choose random values, if you will, or choose values for x, or choose values that are the x will get you the x and y intercept. There is another strategy, and that would be to rewrite these equations so that the equation goes from standard form to slope-intercept form. And then you can try and find the slope and y-intercept. So this requires a really good, solid base with balance moves, right? So I want you to pause the video now and try and use some balance moves to convert this equation or transform it or rewrite it so that it looks like y in y equals mx plus b form. Pause the video now. Okay, so you'll notice here in y equals mx plus b form, y is all alone, right? And in standard form, we have a coefficient in front of y, and we have an x term, the x term on the same side. So we want to get the y term alone. Using a balance move, that could be accomplished by subtracting the 4x from both sides. We would bring down the y term, don't forget the negative, and we'd be left with 8 minus 4x, or I'm going to write it as negative 4x plus 8. The next step would be to balance it out by dividing all the terms by negative 2. Why is that? Well, if it's negative 2 times y, and we wanted to say plain old 1y, negative 2 divided by negative 2 will give us 1. Then we'd have negative 4 divided by negative 2 would be 2, and 8 divided by negative 2 would be negative 4, and we get the equation y equals 2x minus 4. The slope off that equation is 2. The y-intercept is negative 4. Now, why is that important? Well, look back up at your graph. The graph that we drew earlier has a y-intercept of negative 4 and then a slope of 2 over 1 up 2 over 1 up 2. So it matches what we wrote right here. So this is another strategy for graphing a standard form equation, to take it, convert it into y equals mx plus b if you prefer to graph using the slope and y-intercept. All right, from here you're going to do a set of practice problems on the back using all the different strategies. All right, good luck with your work, and I'll see you tomorrow.